Welcome back to the Sports Syllabus Show. I'm your host, John Shakota, and I'm joined by
Noble Meyer, how you doing?
Good. All right, so Noble, this is a big moment in my podcast history. My mom always comes on when I have guests, and I have her ask two questions.
All
And
right.
ever since we started this, she's always done audio. Today is her first ever video appearance. So I'm gonna give the computer to her, and then she'll ask you your questions, and we'll start with my part of the podcast.
Got it. Hi, how you doing?
Hi, how are you? Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, of course.
It's an exciting day over here at our house. Okay, so my first question is, what's one thing you wish your mom understood better about baseball?
That's a good question. Huh. There's a lot of like niche rules that she likes to ask me about, and sometimes I'm like, all right, Mom, like it's a balk. Like you can't like deceive a runner. Like you can't just fake them out. And she'll ask me questions about stuff like that, like the niche, like kind of minor rules. So yeah, probably that.
Okay, good answer. And then my next question is, what's something you've done to make your parents proud outside of baseball?
Um, I mean, I'd say graduate high school. That's probably something that they put a lot of work into, and they made a lot of sacrifices to get me to a nice high school. And I mean, also the opportunities with baseball. But yeah, I mean, to get through high school and to succeed. Um, yeah.
All right, good
Definitely.
answer. Well, thanks for letting me be my first on-camera interview. I appreciate it.
Yeah, of course.
My first question that I got is, what is your start day routine?
Yeah, I mean, I'll wake up, get some breakfast. Past few starts have been at 11 a.m., so we'll go off that. Head to the field, do some like breath work, some meditation, and then stretch out for a long while, get some activation going. I'll do my kind of explosive work and then do bands, weighted balls, and then pregame bullpen, and then head into the game.
Awesome. And then do you have any pregame rituals or routines that you always kind of have? Because, baseball guys, I've known this my whole life. I was a baseball player. We're superstitious. So are there any kind of things that you did one time where you're like, you threw amazing and you kind of got to stick to it, or no, not really?
No, not really. I seem to be in the minority on that, but no, I don't really have any crazy superstitions before a game.
Yeah, that's most of like the pitchers usually,
Yeah.
and this is not even trying to be, but pitchers get the notion that they're weirdos and
Oh
they have
yeah.
to do so. That's something to hold
Yeah.
over
No.
people.
I mean, I'm plenty weird, even though I don't have a superstition.
How do you approach? So this one's kind of about like the sequencing and stuff. How do you approach pitch sequencing against different types of hitters? So like, let's say you're facing a power hitter versus a contact kind of guy. What's that approach like, especially now with all the analytics and stuff in baseball?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of what we've kind of or the new wave of like analytics has been more so pitch to your strengths, not opponent's weaknesses. So, I mean, if you look at like say a guy who hits sliders really well, or like guy that's just or like you said, say like a power guy,
Hmm.
um, good fastball hitter doesn't really hit sliders well, then yeah, I mean, I'll probably throw in some sliders, or be more heavy on the sliders, but
Hmm.
like it's more so what am I comfortable with? What's my best pitch? And just attacking with that kind of regardless of who's hitting instead of like, yeah, trying to get out of my comfort zone. Like, oh, I don't really feel cutter here, but he doesn't hit cutters well. Like, there's no need for that.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Totally. Yeah. Because I think especially when I was younger and when the analytics were starting to not be as big, you saw the guys kind of throw, like, I think you make a great point with the cutters or like a pitch that they have that they don't really throw. Like when you see in the pre-starts, like their pitch use percentage, and there's like that point zero that they'll use on that one hitter. I felt like that was a lot more
Right.
common before the use of iPads now, Trackmans and all that
Yeah.
in the dugouts. And then this one kind of goes back to your start. How do you mentally prepare for a start? Because now I feel like more than ever, and just in sports in general, you see how important the mental side of the game and just mental health and stuff. So how do you mentally prepare to start?
Yeah, I mean, this is something that I really started working on a couple weeks ago. Um, it's been a lot of like kind of mental like bolstering where I'm just kind of like thinking about like dominate. Like I'm just thinking about that word all
Yeah.
morning or all day, and or like kind of more so the phrase dominate what I can control. And every time I think about baseball, I'll go back to that phrase and just like, I dominate what I can control. Dominate, dominate. Yeah. And all day I'll think about that. And eventually that carries into the game. And then the other thing, that breath work that I was talking about earlier, really helpful for just like kind of slowing myself down, kind of taking out any like external thoughts, like not worrying about last week's outing or like, oh, I didn't have a good catch play yesterday. Well, okay, I'm gonna do my breath work, count my breaths, and I'm gonna just forget about it. And
Mhm.
then as far as in game, the thing I've been working on is like not thinking about the last pitch. And then what the interesting like added part to that is not thinking about the good pitches too. So like if I think about a good pitch and I try to take that into the next pitch, it's not going to work out because I'm trying to, like say, I throw a good slider, right?
Yeah.
Outside corner swings right, like or swings through it, like got him right. And if I try and make that better, the odds of me executing that pitch again is just go drastically down. And then the
Mhm.
same thing with the negative ones. Like if I like throw a like wild pitch, I'm not going to think about or I'm like, oh, that was really bad. I need to make this adjustment. No, like my stuff's good enough. I'm just gonna like find my lane and throw it right through it. And yeah, I mean, just kind of mentally resetting.
Totally. Yeah. I mean, that was really interesting just to see how like I played and obviously I wasn't good enough or else I wouldn't be interviewing you. I wouldn't be at Bradley. I would be somewhere. Um and I mean I was a hitter. I claimed to be a pitcher, but you know, I mean, to put in perspective, my brother's in high school games pitching and yelling dragon. So, if you know that college burnout guy, then you know what I'm talking about. You know how elite pitchers we are not. Um, and I never like broke it down when I was pitching. Like, I mean, obviously you're a pro, but I just thought how interesting that was, and like the sense of like and how like sharp it broke down. That was really interesting to see, like kind of how big your baseball mind is.
Hmm.
And now we'll kind of go on to your draft success. What was it like hearing your name called in the top 10?
Oh, it was amazing. I mean, especially being at the draft and then
Yeah.
go, like hearing my name called, giving hugs to my family, and then going out there and shaking Manfred's hand and like congratulations, like welcome to the MLB. Like it was incredible. And
Mhm.
then like we had a bunch of media stuff and a lot of like pictures afterwards. I mean, I barely remember it. I was kind of just like just blacked out with happiness. And I mean, that's to this point, I think probably the best moment in my life.
Mhm. Hopefully, I mean, not hopefully, eventually it will be when you hopefully your major league debut is in Chicago on the south side of Chicago so I can be there, you know, be like, "Hey, I interviewed this guy."
Be real cool.
But no, yeah, that was real cool. And also I knew who you were going into the draft because you know I've been a lifelong, like I was telling you before we were on the podcast. I'm a White Sox fan. I've been a baseball fan my whole life, so I've watched baseball. I do a lot of, I don't want to say research on pre-draft stuff, but the names I know.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize how tall you were and how like until you walked up to Manfred and Manfred's like all the way down here compared to you. Um and also, we'll talk about this later, but you're from Oregon, so being that the draft was in Seattle, which is a great help for you instead of, you know, this year where it was in Texas, where you got to drive all or
Yeah.
fly all the way across. That's real helpful too.
Yeah.
Um, so what was the conversation like with your parents to go to the MLB instead of college? Because you know that's a big jump not only for you but for them too. You're living with them, and then you translate to basically being a full-on adult, getting paid and traveling the state, the world.
Yeah. I mean, they had their concerns because I mean, obviously the safe routes, like not just for my career and for like my dreams, like to play baseball, but the safe route would be just go to college, get an education, like come out with a degree, and then like regardless of if baseball works or not, I'll have a degree to fall back on, and I can find a job elsewhere. But it was more so like my agent that kind of consoled them. He's like, hey, like he's got a great opportunity here. Like this is like a once in a lifetime opportunity. Like this is the route to go. And I mean, I was fortunate enough that it wasn't too much of a decision. Like I was early first round. It's really hard to turn that down. Um, but yeah, I mean, there definitely is some concerns. But I mean, the conversation really didn't go much past like, yeah, this is a once in a lifetime opportunity.
Mhm. Yeah, and also if I'm you, and then my parents are like, "Oh, you gotta go back," then I gotta wait 3 more years to hear my name called again to get this rush again, and I'm like, I don't want to do that again. This is awesome. I don't want to go through all
Yeah.
this process again. Um, what do you attribute to making and this will be kind of more on your high school career now, these next few questions. Um, what do you attribute to making that huge jump in your junior year from going to 95 to 100? You know, we've seen guys even in Illinois, in my home state, Jack
Hmm.
Bauer kind of comes out of nowhere because he's throwing 100 whatever from the left side with insane run on it. So, and it's disgusting slider. So, what do you kind of attribute to that big sort of jump in velocity? And also, I felt like that coincided with you were already a legit prospect, and that made you kind of another step above. So, what do you attribute to that?
Yeah. I mean, so I was never the strongest kid. Like I was always pretty lanky, pretty wiry, and honestly pretty real skinny. And kind of like didn't really like the thought of the weight room. I always thought like, all right, I'm a lot weaker than everybody. I don't want to get shown up. So I really like heavily focused on my mechanics, and then so working on my mechanics, and then kind of being introduced to the weight room and having a good like, we had a group. If you're familiar, like same um, same gym that Adley trains at, Mick Abel, who just debuted
Mhm.
yesterday,
Yeah, I
and a
saw that.
bunch of other guys. But they all train at this facility out in Oregon, and they had a group of high schoolers all around my age, I think. Um, but just like put us in the weight room, put us on a program, and I really invested into that. So I put on some strength, and then yeah, during all that, felt really obsessed with my mechanics and trying to be like as efficient as possible. And eventually, just kind of all clicked one day out in Cary during the prospect development pipeline, and it just like I was just throwing way harder. Like I had topped out at 95. I hit 95 once my junior year. And then so it was that summer after we go to Cary for that big like event. And first outing was good. I was like 90, 94 and touched 95. I'm like, oh, that's awesome. Like hit my or tied my PR. That's great. And then had a second outing in relief or for one of those games. And during the warm-ups, I didn't throw a single pitch under 96. Or
Oh,
no, I take that back. I hit 96 in the warm-ups. I'm like, oh, that's a PR. Like that's awesome. And then I go out there and I didn't throw a single pitch under 96. I topped out at 98, and I was like, whoa, where did this come from? Um, and all I did was just trying to get my arm up on time. And then just kind of stuck with me for the rest of
mhm.
my high school career.
Yeah, yeah. And speaking of your high school career, I was also looking at your perfect game and stuff. You were also a first baseman. So did you
I
have
was, yeah.
you know any pops, or were you specifically more of a PO? Because on some scouting they say they had you listed as a first baseman slash
Yeah.
pitcher. So did what was the hitting experiences like for you?
Well, before freshman, no, no, sorry, not before senior year, I was mostly an outfielder, and then in high school they put me at first base. Actually, I take that back. I was a little first base during junior year too. Yeah, I did hit. I like to say I hit pretty well. I did. I mean, I was I think over junior and senior year, somewhere around batting 400 and
Okay,
hit a couple bombs. It wasn't bad, but we had a really good team, so
that's yeah.
I wasn't a standout on that team by any
Mhm.
means in the
Yeah,
lineup.
yeah.
Yeah,
Definitely. I have to ask because gotta show the Pilo like that video from that one LSU guy. Go up there and hit a bomb. Try and hit a bomb. That one.
yeah,
I'm blanking on that guy's name, but I just think that video is the funniest, and that's what happens to me when I think of POs. So you're my second professional baseball player, but you are my first top 100 prospect. to ever come on the show. So, what is it like being a top 100 prospect in baseball?
It's great. I mean, it's really cool to have that that tag going around, but at the same time, there is a lot of pressure. So I mean,
Hmm.
the pressure to perform and like the high expectations. Um, but yeah, I mean, in the end, it's really cool. It's an honor to have that recognition.
Yeah, and I got some more questions that build off of that. Like you said with the hype, I got this is kind of a combo of both. Do you ever let that hype of being a top 100 prospect and a top 10 pick? How do you kind of deal with that? Because then not only are you a top 100 prospect, you're also a top 10 former top 10 pick. So how do you kind of balance that stuff?
Yeah, I mean, it's yeah, like I said, I mean, it's a lot of pressure, and I haven't been thrown too well recently, so it's
Hmm.
like thinking about that, like, oh, it's a top 10 pick, like what's going on here? So it's difficult to manage. I mean, like most things, it sucks when it's not going well, and it's great when it's going well. So
Hmm.
yeah,
Definitely. I mean, that's a great answer. That's baseball. That's the life of
yeah,
baseball. I mean, I've been playing for not as long as you, but baseball, considered successful if you get 3 hits out of 10 times. So like
yeah.
that's the name of the game. What was the biggest adjustment for you that you had to make going from high school to professionals?
Um, Realizing that there's so much more I have to get better at. Like I mean, I was like dominating in high school, and then showing up to professional baseball and like being in a different climate, having to work out more, having to run more, like more human. When I say different climate, I mean like it was showing up in Jupiter. What would have been July 20th, I think, or 21st. I think was my first day. I almost passed out from the heat. Like it was awful. And like the humidity, like the getting used to like that feel that the ball like my palms sweating while holding the ball, even when I'm just standing there. Like it was it was different for sure. And then yeah, just the regiment of just throwing every week. And I think one adjustment that I overlook pretty often is no longer being that guy that the team relies on. So like in high school, like I'm like state championship, I was the pitcher, and there's kind of that like, all right, Noble's out there, like he's gonna throw, like we got this. It's no longer there in pro ball now. It's like okay, it's just one of our pitchers, and that's definitely an interesting aspect to look at it.
Yeah, totally. I think that's and it's not a bad I think it's a great thing for athletes, and I don't think you are like this, but I think some athletes, when they get to be so dominant in high school, and you, I think, are the complete polar opposite of this, just by my conversation with you and how you seem kind of like a quieter person. Some people let that hype sort of kind of get to them, and they think they're amazing, and then, like you said, they'll get to
Hmm.
Jupiter, Florida, and realize
Yeah,
it's humid and disgusting. I would say, I mean, you're in Beloit, so it's technically Wisconsin, but the Midwest is pretty disgustingly humid too. I don't know if you've gotten to truly experience a full summer here, but it is disgusting. It's humid and it's gross.
I mean the weather's it's just like Oregon, so I
Yeah.
mean it's not unfamiliar. But
Hmm.
back to what we were saying about the kind of that rude awakening. I think a good comparison would be like in basketball, like you have a guy on a high school or even college team, and you're the primary scorer, and you're really good, and then you show up to the next level, and now you're just one of five or one of
Yeah.
13 on that roster. So now it's like, oh well, I'm not ball dominant anymore. I've got to fit in. I've got to be a role player now. Not that I'm looking to be a role player. I still want to
Hmm.
be dominant. I still want to be that guy on every team I'm on. But it's very different not being
Hmm.
like that. Yeah, like that or ball dominant to say.
Mhm. I totally get that. Yeah, and
Mm,
it's an adjustment, and it's looking like you're starting to adjust, and we'll talk about it here. Been you've done a good job of bouncing up and down and being able to bounce back from it. And we saw a
yeah.
little bit in Jupiter, and this season you started off well, you went down a little bit, now you're starting to bounce up a little bit with your most recent start. But what is the biggest pitcher that you look up to that you would say you that you look up to and kind of idolize?
I mean, Jacob DeGrom is the first one I always think
Mhm.
of, like hard throwing righty. That's what I tried to emulate in high school, and then I think it's very significant that it carries on into where I'm at right now. Like he's kind of like the machine. Like he's a stone cold killer. You don't really see any emotion from him on the mound, and that's where I like. That's my next goal is to kind of
Mhm.
be that like no emotion. Like I'm just thinking about like executing each pitch and just dominating. So I mean, yeah, in high school I tried to like look at his mechanics, and he's so mechanically efficient. I mean, he's
Mhm.
185 at 6'4", I want to say,
Yeah.
and just pumping 100 every pitch, just
Yeah.
flawless mechanics. And it was just so fun to watch, like being a fan of baseball, seeing him healthy, and just ruining batters' days. Yeah, I mean that's got to be number one for sure.
Yeah, definitely. And I think like Jacob DeGrom is one of those guys when he's healthier, baseball's better.
Oh
And
yeah,
we're seeing that this year. I feel like this year, I mean, Aaron Judge too. Like I could get in a whole nother topic with the offensive side. But I'm
yeah,
saying for the pitcher's sake, Jacob DeGrom is one of the most entertaining and electric guys. And I think another thing why people are so interested to watch him is like you said, he doesn't show really anything. He's just like
hmm
he just looks like how you and I look right now. Like just like there's no real crazy emotion on his face. It looks like he's just out there, like just there. Like he's not,
yeah,
and I think that's another really interesting piece where it's like now you see so many clips of people like James Karinchak is one guy who comes to mind instantly, who's a dude who always showed his emotion and that fires people up. And now DeGrom is sort of the opposite of that, which is another interesting piece.
yeah.
So we talked and most of your family, a lot of people know you've done stuff with Trevor Bauer. What has he done for you in your baseball career?
Yeah, I mean, it's really interesting. It was a pleasure to meet him out in Arizona. I did a video with him and King of JUCO and a softball player at BYU, I believe, and had a really had a blast doing that. That was real fun. Sam and the softball player got to face me, or I got to face them, I should say, which was it was awesome. Um, had a bunch of fun there, and I was talking, and yeah, I mean, I didn't really we weren't really there for that long. It was kind of just
Mhm.
whatever's in the video, and then we're kind of out of there. But got to talk a little bit with. I mean, Sim is just an electric guy, and yeah, it was real fun.
Exactly, and also you kind of realize, like, I was watching Trevor Bauer's YouTube video that he just dropped before we got on here, and you realize, like, just watching through his YouTube videos, how deep and how like thoughtful he is about baseball, and he opens up the whole new side of the game that you never realized, and that's one of the things that I love about YouTube, and I love that these players like you think of the destroying in the NFL and X or whatever he's in. Like I love when professional athletes kind of open up their life and their mind. I love kind of picking at their mind, understanding, seeing how they view the game. And Trevor Bauer, I think, is one of the best baseball minds there is in the world. And you see
Yeah.
that every time he just the way he breaks it stuff down. It's like, dude, I mean, he can go on and on about it.
hmm
So we talked a little bit about analytics. What have analytics done for you in your career?
Yeah, I was very big on we had a Rapsodo freshman, I think no, sophomore year in my high school. My coach got a rap or show introduced me to Rapsodo and understanding like spin efficiency, spin axis, and like brakes and stuff like that. And it was really, really eye opening because that's like both my parents are engineers, so I have like a somewhat of an engineer mind where it's like I love numbers, I love thinking about like this causes this, and I would love to like throw bullpens and just like try and make minor changes and see like, oh, that changes that. Okay, interesting. Like, what if I change this and just do that all like the entire bullpen every week? And eventually it just turned into like an understanding of like my mechanics and understanding of like if the ball comes out, the ball's gonna do or ball comes out like this, the ball's gonna do that. If it comes out like this, it's gonna do that. If it spins this much, it's gonna break this much. And in time I learned like I feel like I got a really good grasp of just TrackMan and like understanding yeah, like baseball analytics.
Yeah, and like I mean, it's crazy like how good it is for pitchers and how much it kind of shows you, all right, we got to change this pitch. And we've seen a lot of pitchers who have one pitch, they change the grip or something, and it snaps. With like before, it was all like feel, and now you have the actual analytics to the vertical break, the horizontal, the run, and all that. And I just think that's really interesting. And also, like you know, I was a Peoria Chiefs bat boy when I talked to you, and all the iPads and stuff in the dugouts and how they view each pitch. Like, and I've worked other games before when I was still in at college, like just how they look at the iPad after every like in the when they switch a pitcher, every single hitter goes around an iPad and looks and sees their stuff. Like
Hmm.
it's really cool and interesting, and I think it's great for baseball. So you are from Oregon. You committed to, I got my University of Oregon sweater on, and then I got my hat too,
Hmm.
Um, and so you committed to Oregon. My girlfriend goes to Oregon, so I visited and I talked to you about it. It's a very beautiful place, but what made you want to commit there over, a bunch of other Power 5 schools? Now it's Power 4, but what made you want to commit to Oregon?
Yeah, I mean, I coming out of my the summer after my freshman year, I went to a tournament out in Georgia, and I want to say I touched 86 or 87, may have been 88, somewhere in that range, and it was really out of nowhere. And a couple schools reached out to me, Oregon being one of them. And I got to talk to them for a while, or for 2-ish weeks. And then after that first week, they gave me an offer, and it was among them, Washington State, and a walk on from Oregon State. I went down to visit Oregon, went up to visit Washington State, and it was just it was pretty clear that it was Oregon. The coaches were really invested in me, and the facilities were incredible. The program was definitely trending uphill, as you can tell right now.
Yeah, I was about to
They're
say.
they're incredible this year, and it's been fun because I've got one of my closest friends is the second baseman, so I
Mhm.
watch every game I can. But they have been just a monster this year, so it's been really
Yeah.
fun to watch. But I mean, the coaches were just incredible.
Mhm.
Between was Mark Wazikowski, Jack Martyr, and then at the time Jake Angier, who's now the I want to say head coach of New Mexico State, or maybe it's University New Mexico State, I believe. But there was just it was just a no brainer to me. I mean,
Mhm.
it seemed like they had built a great culture there, and it was just the place to go. And then eventually I developed into a draft prospect, and it was pretty tough to say no. Like
Mhm.
I'm going to the draft, but even Wazikowski was still there to congratulate me. And him and I keep in touch to this day. So I mean, it was definitely the right choice for commitment for me.
Mhm. Yeah, definitely. And also, um, I've been there and you know this, you visited there, so It also is very cool kind of how the baseball and football facilities have like their own sort of area, which is another thing. I think that's another thing why
Hmm.
they're so successful is like, and I'm not saying teams that have shared weight rooms and stuff are good or are not good, but having that sort of where you have your own sort of area that no one else is going to be here, it just helps you guys kind of lock in and stay focused on that goal. And like you said, we've seen this year with Oregon, they've been, I mean, they're top 10 in the country, and they have I think they will be in Omaha. Thankfully, I love the College World Series. It's starting up soon, so
Hmm.
we're with automatic qualifiers already starting. But yeah, I think it's a beautiful country or beautiful university. Now I have to ask, did the gear or anything like that, all the cool stuff that comes with being an Oregon Duck, all the cool Nike gear you guys get, did that have any factor in it?
When they first reached out, I was like, oh wow, like Oregon, like they have all the Nike money. That's so cool. And then as I realized like how important of a decision it was, I like had to think about like, okay, I can't be thinking about this. I need to focus on like what's best for the future.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
yeah, no,
definitely.
it's pretty cool. I like full honesty. Yeah. I mean, It's Oregon at the end of the day.
Exactly. Like they get some of the designs that like no other school gets, which is really cool. But yeah, no, and their field is beautiful. The backdrop, I mean, it's a
Hmm.
gorgeous field. So I can see why you wanted to definitely play there. So you talked about how you were at Jupiter, which was for fans who are watching who don't know, it's single A and then high A. So what is the jump like? What is the jump from high A to low A been like for you?
Yeah, it's been very interesting. You find, or I've been told that if you think about it, each level, the top three players on each roster are the bottom six players at the next level. So I mean, the top three players, maybe more than that, maybe five, six, seven. But think of like say the first three in the lineup. First three in the lineup. We just played Appleton, so we'll go with that. Like the first three guys there, they could be like 4 through 9 in their double A, which is Biloxi,
Mhm.
right? And then same thing goes with their low A, right? So I mean, it's more so like you think about the best guys on the teams that we face. It's the next level is like an entire team full of that, and then some. Like, and then they've got a couple guys that like could be like triple A or even big leaguers. So like going from Jupiter, like I mean, the top there's like, oh, like look out for this guy, like this is their best hitter. It's moving up to high A. It's like, well, now this high A team is full of the low A's team best hitter. It's a little tough to explain without like a diagram, but yeah, I mean, it's the level of talent has gone up for sure. I feel like I see more of an approach from hitters, and I'm sure that just goes up and at the next level. But yeah, it's I mean, at the end of the day, it's still baseball, so it's not like a
Mhm.
drastic like, oh, I'm not prepared for this level. It's more so just the ability to compete and execute, and then the guys at the higher levels are just execute more often.
Exactly, yeah, and I mean, like, it's another thing, like, you have a complete and total like, you've earned the where you are. You're a top 10 pick. You're getting paid millions of dollars because and you were drafted 10th overall. Like, you have the skill, and this is for everybody too. Like, the reason why they call whoever like a random, let's say a shortstop on the Cardinals, because I'm just thinking pure Chiefs. They call a dude up. It's not because they don't believe in him. It's because they know he has the talent to compete with them. And yeah, like we talked about, you're gonna have some struggles, but it's that's baseball. You're every pitcher. If an ace could go out and pitch like that one, I think 2019 was it Garrett Cole who had like an insane month where he allowed like 2 runs. Like
Mhm.
that's just not normal.
Right.
So you're gonna have a bad start here and there, but I think you do make a good point where like I get what you're saying. I know it's hard to explain, but I
Yeah.
completely get where it's like one level, like that's why like, and I'm saying this just from like a Cardinals and a baseball fan. That's why I was surprised when JJ Weatherholt went from single
Hmm.
A just to straight double A because of how big of a jump that is alone. Because that's like basically saying you don't even know how good these guys are compared to what he was playing. And he's actually done pretty well, which is surprising. And I'm not saying he isn't good. I'm just saying in the sense of like that's such a huge jump and you don't see that or I'm a Sox fan, Garrett Crochet, Chris Sale. These dudes literally went from like it's
Yeah.
crazy to they went from college to literal like Aaron Judges, like just
Hmm.
facing those guys.
Yeah, unbelievable.
Like that jump was crazy. So I think you make a great point where it's like you don't realize until you've seen the game and kind of been around it of how much skill there is and how like people will be like I hate fans when they're on Instagram or social media or whatever and they'll
Hmm.
be like, "Oh, this dude sucks." Like this is like the same thing with NBA stuff. Like if this dude sucks, this guy comes to like a random pickup hoop session, like they're
Yeah.
gonna destroy you. Like this is the same thing. If you or someone who you play with went to a men's league, you would be the Cy Young and you wouldn't give up a run. Like there is a reason you guys are being
Yeah.
paid thousands of dollars to play a game because you
Yeah.
are exceptionally talented at it.
One good example. I was scrolling through X or Twitter or whatever you want to call it a while ago. Around when you know who George Lombard Jr. is,
Yes.
Yankees prospect, and the news broke that he's being called up to Somerset, their Double A, and a couple of Yankees fans in the replies were saying like we should just call him up already, like top prospect. And no, George he's an incredible player. He's like one of the most talented players I've played against. But I mean, you just can't make the jump from high A
Exactly.
to professional or to the MLB. And then
Mhm.
same thing goes with someone like Adley. Like Adley had one of the most dominant like college seasons ever. I think behind like Condon for the most
Which
dominant,
was, yeah.
which was incredible. I was originally Team Adley, and then someone pointed out the numbers to me. I'm like, okay, wow, that's incredibly impressive. Um, but I mean, Adley had to spend was it three
Mhm.
years in the minor leagues out of like after putting up ridiculous numbers in
Yeah.
college baseball. So, I mean, it's just there's that much of a difference.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, and the thing that I like to point out is, like, you only really see the pitchers who do the kind of no real minor leagues. Like, I'll put an asterisk with the Angels because they just rush everybody up to the majors.
Yeah.
Like Shanuel, they rushed up. Ben
Hmm.
Joyce, they rushed up. Zach Nito was, I mean, he's good. He's just hurt, but
Hmm.
like they're one of the rare exceptions. But like you only really see pitchers because it's hitting is the hardest thing to. I firmly believe this. It's the hardest thing to do in any sport, no matter what. You have to hit a ball that's going 100 miles per hour that can have some disgusting like this guy Jack Bauer. You and I have talked about him.
Hmm.
Like the amount of this like run on his fastball is disgusting. So I think you make a great point. And it's also I want to talk about like Adley Rutschman was the number one overall pick, and a lot of like people think where have these guys gone because it's not like the NBA or NFL where you just are planted in and play. You got
Yeah.
to work, and the guys will sort of quote unquote disappear because to the casual eye they won't. They're not going to feel like where has this guy been? Why has he not been with us? But then once you watch it, you realize there's a reason why. Because
Yeah.
if guys like Bobby Witt, Adley Rutschman didn't take their time in the minors, would they be one of the best catchers in baseball, the best shortstop in baseball? No. So there's a reason why there's such a huge gap, like, and it's such a rare and praised thing to do.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And even, I mean, I just thought again about the Angels. Um, who's the guy they just drafted out of
Christian Moore.
yeah,
Yeah.
he's already I think in AAA. So they
That
just
sounds right. Yeah.
so he just I mean, but he's also had a great season, but that's a whole nother thing.
Yeah.
Um so we talked about earlier you had some struggles er, lately, but you start out really strong. How do you bounce back in
Yeah.
like the rest of the season?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of that has come, like I talked about, like recently starting to work on the mental side, and then just, I mean, just pushing through it. I mean, it's a 1 month stretch doesn't like define my career.
Mhm.
Yeah, it sucks, but I mean, life happens, baseball happens. Like I saw something interesting, like recently. It was like people aren't successful because they don't fail, but it's because they have failed and came back from them,
Totally.
from them.
Totally.
Um, yeah, I mean, I'm just gonna like keep working, keep understanding that like yeah, struggles happen. Yeah, I mean it's a good learning opportunity, and
Mhm.
just go back out there week by week and hoping to bounce back from it. Really, all I can do for now.
Exactly. Yeah, and
Yeah.
I think you make a great point. I was watching a YouTube video from this guy Jolly Olive earlier. I don't know if you know
Oh yeah,
him.
absolutely.
I love watching his YouTube videos. And he was ranking M- MVPs, like second place MVP finishers, and someone that I think of that defines kind of what you're talking about, where it's like you're gonna have rough seasons and rough stuff. Adrian Beltre, he was struggling. Then he has this amazing borderline, could have won the MVP in I think '09. I might be wrong on the specific date or year, but you see guys where they come back and prove kind of they're still worth it. Like
Hmm.
there's a reason these guys are these hyped up, and I think that's a great thing too that you make where it's like baseball, you're not going to always be successful in it. It's just how you bounce back from that sort of
Right.
block sort of thing.
Yeah, I mean the two guys I look at like just off rip are like Cody Bellinger and Christian Yelich, where
Oh
they're
my!
want to say it was 2018 or 2019 where they had their like
19, yeah,
incredible.
I mean,
Yeah,
that was peak baseball
they had
for
their
you and I
incredible
especially.
MVP race. Yeah, it was so fun to watch. And then over the span of like the next 2 or 3 years, like they both really, really struggled. Bellinger, especially Bellinger, to the point where he got uh was he released or DFA'd by
I He
I
might have been released, I think, and then the Cubs took a waiver on him,
that
basically.
sounds right. Yeah. And yeah, I mean, and now you look at him like he's completely bounced back. He's
Mhm.
back to his like original form. Like he's yeah, I mean, he went through a long slump. Like it was lasted what 2 3 years, but I mean, he's back now, and he's the player that like everyone knows and loves. And yeah, I mean, that's kind of. I mean, I hope my stretch doesn't last for that long, but uh, yeah, I mean, there's ups and downs. I mean, especially in this game, there can be roller coasters where you
Mhm.
like. I mean, last May, I had like 20 innings, 33 strikeouts, and like 6 walks or something. And I mean, I don't even want to mention my stats from this, man. They haven't been great. So
Yeah, but,
yeah, I mean,
you got the stuff, and also the thing you and I have talked about this too when we were at the game, like, the thing with that you have that so many people like Adley, like guys who are drafted out of college, like Bazana, I might be butchering his last name,
that's it. Yeah.
is you have age on your side. These guys coming in, they're 22, 23. They're going to be able to adjust to this a lot easier than someone like you or like a Max
Hmm.
Clark who is still in high A. Like there are going to be these guys who are we know you guys are elite. There's a reason you guys were picked. But there are guys who are it's like the same thing in college basketball. College basketball, you are a great team because you have older guys who understand the game. That's the same thing with baseball and when it comes from college to pros. The reason why these guys make like the Noah Shanuels of the world who jump in like this matter of like a month or something is because they've played baseball for a longer period of time. They've been able to learn and understand it better. So they're going to be able to play better and understand it more. And
Hmm.
that's not saying you don't have more talent than them. It's just because they played longer and they understand it more. So that's the thing that I think, especially for you. I mean, I'm just a podcast guy, so take what you want from me. But I think that's what you have over people is like you're 20 you're a year older than me. Like you have a lot of time. So that's the
Hmm.
thing that I think especially you is if something's up is like you have that sort of time where guys who are older they're just getting out of college, they're getting degrees.
Right.
You just got your high school degree a few years ago.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I mean, someone I like really look up to, and like when it comes to situations like that, it's Nick Abel, who like I said earlier, just debuted yesterday. Like we went to the same high school. He was a
mhm.
senior when I was a freshman, which was the COVID year, but um, I didn't really get to talk to him much. And then we ended up working out at the same place, and then I got to talk to him more. And as he came back and visited, I got to know him a little more. But I mean, he was 15th pick back in 2020, and he was like top pitcher taken, like pretty similar story. And his first year I think was it was solid. His first or the first segment after the draft was solid, but his first full year he really struggled, and then the second year struggled again, and then last year to the point where he was put on the development list, and through that battled back, and like to start the year this year he's been actually he ended the season off real strong last year, and then to start this season, he's been one of the best pitchers in the minor leagues. Worked his way up, earned his debut this Sunday, and went out there and just crushed it. Outdueled schemes.
Yeah,
Just
exactly. I was
super,
about to say
yeah,
like in
super impressive, and like it's a little inspiring to me to think like, okay, like even though there's rough patches, like there's like still light at the end of the tunnel.
mhm.
Yeah,
Exactly. And like you said, I mean, basically, it's like copy and paste story from you,
yeah,
righty,
it's pretty cool.
top, same high school, work out to get like
Yeah.
very similar stuff, and also like we've seen this a lot with guys from the Phillies, like guys who are drafted real high with them and then struggle for a little, and then come up and are solid. Like I mean, Mick Moniak had a little bit of like a peak with the Angels, but still he came back up and started and was a good player for them. Um, so we're talking a little bit on your struggles. What part of your game are you currently working on hardest to improve? I feel like we kind of talked about this a
Yeah,
little.
I mean, just double down. Yeah, the mental side. I think the mental side is the first step in just about everything you do. Like if your mind's not in the right place, like you're not really going to succeed. So I mean,
Mhm.
if you put your mind first and put your your mental and your like your emotions, or more so the mental. I shouldn't say emotions. But if you put that first, then you're like everything else is going to follow. And that's kind of where I'm at. Like I kind of need a
Mhm.
little like reset, work on the mind, and get back into it, and then we're like everything else will follow.
Yeah, totally. So what is and I know you're this is a loaded question. Um, so what does success look like for you at the end of your career?
Yeah, I mean, I want to have a long career. I mean, the the usual answer that I think everyone should give is I want to be the best, right? I mean,
Exactly.
whether that's possible or not, I want to be the best I can possibly be. If that's the best to ever do it, I mean, that's the idea. Um, but I also know like there are outlying circumstances. Like it may not happen. It just may not be. But I mean, at the end of the day, I want to be the best. So that's what success looks like to me. Whether that's the
Mhm.
yeah, like I said, like the best to ever do it, or just the best version of myself. That's probably the best way to put it.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, I mean, success would be at the end of the year, end of my career, hopefully a long one. It's like looking back and thinking like, could I have done more? And if the answer is no, then I think that's successful.
Mhm. Yeah, definitely. And that's a very like I mean, you said your parents are engineers.
Hmm.
That was a very, great response to that because I think like you said, success is like it's a loaded thing and especially with people now, a lot of people are just like they're like I want to do this, but I don't want to go do it in a sense of like where there are some guys who will come into the whatever team and they won't say much and they'll just go work. And I think that's something that I mean, obviously you're in the majors. You've worked your butt off to get to where you are, and you're still working your butt off. And I don't. I mean, I've like I said, I've interviewed another pro guy with the Peoria Chiefs. I didn't realize, like, I knew you guys did a lot of work. I didn't realize how much work it goes in until he told me his game day routine. Because like I said, I was a hitter and an outfielder, so I could kind of understand, and just the amount of cage work that this guy did, and
Hmm.
that is equivalent to what you do. I mean, like it's you don't realize you have to love what you're doing or else it like we see so many elite guys just kind of disappear because they get worn out of the game. Like they just get outworked. They're just sick of it. So you really gotta love what you're doing.
Yeah.
Um, so is there a particular city or stadium that you dream of pitching in?
I mean, growing up a Mariners fan,
Mhm.
I gotta call it Safeco, even though it's T-Mobile, but the Mariners Stadium, like going to see Ichiro and Felix Hernandez, and then my personal favorite was Raul Ibanez. Well, he was there with the Mariners. Um, I mean, just going there and watching all of them play, and then like to eventually have the chance to play there myself. I mean, that is the dream stadium for me to play in. Yeah.
Mhm, totally, and then I also gotta ask this, I should have asked this earlier, what was it like getting drafted in like, the stadium that you grew up supporting and going to? What was that moment like?
Just an absolute fairy tale story. Like you can't write it up any better than that. I mean, yeah, there's really no explanation behind it. Like it's just like perfect luck of the draw. Like of course it's in my like not hometown, but like the team I've loved my whole life, and then eventually getting the chance to be drafted in that stadium. I mean, the only thing that could have made it more poetic was if I
Is
got
those the
drafted to the Mariners. But I mean, that would
I
have
mean,
been
they basically just got 2 of you with the I don't know how I'm not even gonna try to pronounce his last name, but the guy out of Mississippi State with the switch pitcher. I
yeah,
mean, that I think that's insanely cool, but also insanely impressive that he's basically the same velo wise
yeah,
in each arm, which is like crazy to me. But
so cool. Yeah,
um So last night, I sent you a picture. I was working on my road to the show,
Hmm.
and you actually came up. So, what was it like? What is it like being in MLB The Show, a video game that I would assume you grew up playing? What is that kind of like?
Yeah, I mean, interestingly enough, I grew up more watching than playing.
Hmm.
I mean, it was a PlayStation only game for forever until 2021.
Yeah.
Um, so I watched a lot of like YouTubers play, like your friend Kyle,
Yeah. Oh my God.
Fuzzy, Dodgers films, and there's a lot more Cougs, like Magunsky, a bunch of guys that just played the game, and I always loved watching it. And eventually, when it came out in 2021, I was like so hyped up to buy it. And then 2021, I didn't play 2022 just because I heard it wasn't very fun. But 23, I played so much of, um, just because I thought like I felt like I had a fair amount of time to kill. Like it was kind of just baseball, school, and then sometimes meet with scouts, and then I was just played MLB The Show for the rest of the day. Um, and then after I got drafted and then found out I was in the game, I spent a little money getting the Xbox Series X, a monitor, and just like a good setup. And I played so much after because it was just show up. Like once I got down to Jupiter, I brought my Xbox and a monitor with me. I was just all right. I show up, do everything. Like I go play catch, I go work out, I like do everything I need to do, and then I'll just go back in the hotel room and just be like, well, I have nothing else to do. My car isn't here. I'm just in the hotel room sitting, and might as well play MLB The Show. So
Exactly.
I played a ton, and for like a month, I was like a top 30 rated player. Nah, I wouldn't say a month. It was more so like a week. I was up there. Um, but yeah, I'm still I don't play it as much anymore, but I'm still pretty good. But
Hmm.
I do play Road to the Show every once in a while, especially if I don't have the Wi-Fi, like on the road. But yeah, last year I remember playing, and I was like, I think I played it as like a shortstop for like the Marlins, and I noticed that I had myself had gotten traded to the Pirates and ended up being like number one or number two prospect. I was like, that's so cool. Like I can't believe that like other people are playing this game and it has my name in it as like and like you're playing against me. Like that's so cool.
Hmm. Hmm.
It's just such a real feeling. And I play a lot of video games, so it's like it's even more like impactful to me.
Yeah. I mean, you can imagine what I'm doing now. I mean, besides this stuff, I mean, I sent you a picture last night of you on my TV. So there's a lot of MLB The Show going because everyone in the house is working, and I'm like the unemployed kid living doing nothing. So a lot of MLB The Show and video games. But yeah, I thought that was a real cool moment, just like
Yeah.
being like, I'm about to talk to the guy who's on my TV. I'm about to play against this dude.
It's so cool. Like when I'm like even I don't like being distracted when I'm warming up, but like I'll warm up and then somebody in the bullpen or like watching above is like, "Oh, your card carried me in the show." I'm like, "Oh, that's so cool." That like just thinking about like I've played MLB The Show and I've used like the prospect cards, I've used like the real cards. Like that's someone else doing that, and I'm one of the cards. Like that's just blows my mind.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and MLB's been a game that so I've been playing video games since shoot. I mean, since I can, that's what you and I have grown up on,
Hmm.
video games, consoles really is what we've grown up on. So I've been playing and we got a PS4 and we've been playing MLB since we got the PS4 and
Yeah.
it's it's awesome. I love it. I mean, I think it's if you told me that when I got my PlayStation that a dude who's in the MLB The Show would be on my podcast and that I would be doing a pod, I would be like, "There's no shot."
Yeah.
So, that was real cool. So this is my final question of the podcast, and this is kind of to let Marlins fans know who you are. What can Marlins fans expect from you in the coming future?
That's a good question. It's so tough to tell with baseball because I mean anything can happen, but I guess outside of results, someone who will work hard to become the best player they can possibly be. Um, yeah, I mean, that's kind of really, I can't like, I mean, you can't be a hitter and guarantee like, oh, I'm gonna bat 400 for the next 5
Yeah.
seasons. Like, I can only control so much. Like, I can't go out there and like if I throw a strike every time, it's gonna get hit roughly what 22% of the time, right? Like that's not in my control,
Mhm.
and maybe that's a cynical way of looking at baseball, but yeah, I mean, I'm gonna control what I can control.
Mhm.
Um, gonna work hard, gonna get better, and my hope is to make a large impact on the major league team in the
Mhm.
upcoming years. So yeah,
Definitely.
yeah.
And, one more question.
Mhm.
You're in the Marlins system. What do you think of these new City Connects jerseys, and which ones do you like more, the new ones or the old ones?
It's so tough to say. I'm a huge fan of the new jerseys. I don't like. I'm okay. I shouldn't say I don't like the hat. I like the hats. I do think the 305 just it just doesn't quite fit.
I agree.
I love the Sugar Kings jerseys.
Me
Those are
too.
beautiful. The whole like those with the white pants and I want to
And
say
then
the
the hat logo.
blue, like the baby blue hats, if I remember right, or maybe they're I don't know, whatever color they are. I mean, that's such a good combo. But these new City Connect jerseys that they have, the futuristic pink and blue,
Yeah,
it is so tough to say no to those. Those are pretty sweet.
exactly. Yeah, I mean, I'm all for, jerseys and stuff. I mean, I love all the creative stuff. I love
Hmm.
the minor league teams. I love how they have all these creative sort of. I mean, the pure Chiefs go as the pure pork tenderloins. I
Yeah.
think that's awesome. Like all the minor league alter egos and stuff. So I love the Miami Vice stuff and all that. But thank you for taking time out of your real busy schedule to make time for me and taking it serious. It meant a lot. Guys, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next.